This isn't a podcast on labeling product marketing. This is a podcast for product marketing managers who feel misunderstood internally.
Because building slide decks and writing copy is not all that we do.
So are today's product marketers actually marketers? Hey everyone, this is another episode of We're Not Marketers. Oh, my man, Eric, were you trying to kick off the intro? Because I didn't mean to take that mic from you, my guy.
No, you take it away, buddy. That's all yours.
Hey, once again, this is Zach here, the sales water boy. We're gonna pass it over to our guy Gab to switch things up.
Gab Bureau, sales deck intern. I just do sales deck until I die, and I try to make sure to save them before they disappear. Zach.
Exactly. Don't do what I did 30 minutes ago where you finish a presentation and you don't save it and lose it all in one swipe. But less about that. We're going to pass it over to Eric before we introduce our special guest here today.
Yeah, and Becky, if you're not aware, we all have little job titles that are out of the norm, and mine is the Franken Marketer here at We're Not Marketers. And so, Zach, give it back to you to introduce our special guest.
Everyone, this is Becky Trevino. She is the executive vice president of product at Snow Software. What's really unique about Becky is that her deep expertise in product marketing that has led her to carve out a path of leading the product function underneath with product marketing, UX, and other functions to help a more streamlined function here. I'm really excited to have her on today to talk more about her experience, what it looks like to partner with product marketing. How can product marketers get a better seat at the table when it comes to the roadmap discussions here? We're going to learn a lot more from Becky from this conversation. Fun fact, she's based off the Midwest. So if any Midwest listeners out here, give her a holler. Becky, what have we missed in this illustrious intro for yourself?
I think a big part of it has been I've been a career changer. So I have been somebody who's done stints in engineering, started off my career in engineering, moved over and led customer success and technical support, moved into product marketing, and then now lead a team with product management and product marketing and really get a sense of feel. I'm probably one of those few people that by leading both has an interesting perspective, but also has had the experience of going in on customer success, marketing, as well as product management. So I almost had the feel, with the exception of sales, like I understand all of the main stakeholders that a product marketing team would have. And I think that gives me a unique perspective on stakeholder management for PMM.
And with that unique perspective, Becky, we're going to ask you a question here that I think that if you heard the pod, what's coming next, I'm going to pass it off to Gab to kick it off here.
Thank you, Zach. Becky, are product marketers actually marketers? Why or why not?
I think product marketers are business people, and good product marketers, I think everybody in an organization, like we try to all say, I'm in marketing or I'm an engineer or I'm the product person. The reality is that we should all be business people. We should all be in it to help a business be successful. And with that, it's like we all contribute. We're all part of a greater team that brings a unique skill set to help us be successful. And product marketing is particularly a unique function in the fact that it has product and marketing in its name. And by designation, it means it's working at an intersection of go-to-market and product strategy to really help a company be successful at this growth engine of bringing and introducing new products in the market. And that's hard. And so for that reason, I say, look, I wouldn't get myself stuck in, am I a marketer? Am I a product person? Whatever. I'm a business person here out to do whatever it takes at my particular company to make it be successful. And I'm also a big believer that there's no one size fits all to product marketing. Your one size fits all for product marketing is really focused on what's the right product marketing roles and responsibilities for the organization you sit in today, because the needs of every org, the maturity of every org are different. And that's what I think is the big challenge for product marketers, is finding what's the right product marketing needs for the organization I'm in.
That is a one-of-a-kind answer. And we've had about a dozen now guests on here, and we have not gotten anything close to that.
Exactly, but it reminded me into what Yiling Pei said on one of her posts, and product marketer are business strategists. And she was going into that in depth. So I really like the fact that you said we are business people. And I think it's a role that is department agnostic. and you focus more towards your soul is not to a department, it's to the organization in order to making sure everyone get those wins and those successes, basically. Really loving the answer.
One clarifying question for you, Becky. When you say that product marketing is not a one size fits all within an organization, as a product marketer, like a solo product marketer, how do you define product market fit within product marketing in an organization?
So if I were a solo product marketer, I think the first thing I would do is understand who just hired me. And I would go back there and ask them, look, within the first 90 days, what do you need me to get done? And also really try to dig into why did they even open that rec at any point? Because somebody, especially if you're in a smaller company, budget is limited. So somebody felt enough pain to allocate parts of their budget to product marketing versus engineering, customer success, another salesperson, which are, when you're a small startup, that's a critical function. So they obviously value the function either because of something they heard or something that they feel. And so once you know that, you can tailor that role for it. A lot of times in smaller startups, what they're really looking for is product message fit. Is, hey, I'm spending a lot of money on marketing, but I don't know if I'm getting that return on investment for it. So if that's the case, then a lot of what product marketers would be doing in that scenario is really understanding why we're winning, doing a lot of customer wins, a lot of conversations with salespeople to really dive into that, a really understanding of win-loss, or really driving in around ideal customer profile, and really diving into particular parts of the message and resonating, working on website copy, looking at sales enablement. So if that's what was the big challenge, versus if the big challenge were, oh, I don't know what my field, we have a vision, our marketing is, we're getting pipeline, but we're not converting it, then it would be more of a partnership around sales enablement. But see, the direction of where that product marketer would spend their time changes based on the problem the organization is facing. That's why I said it can't be a one size fits all where you're like, I'm going to bring messaging and positioning. Well, their messaging and positioning is good and you're seeing the conversion, but they're not able to, their problem is bottom of the funnel. Then leave the messaging and positioning alone and go focus on sales enablement, have the right pitch decks, etc. And so it's knowing the problems the organization are having that's going to help that product marketer really create the right blueprint for that role.
We've actually heard this, I think it was from Tamara, and she had a conversation about knowing your superpower, right? So if the company that you work for needs help on the positioning side, and you may be more of a sales enablement guru, obviously not a good fit. So a direct question for you, Becky, what is your product marketing superpower?
I feel like I've always equated 4 types of superpowers in product marketing. I'm going to try to remember them because I did a LinkedIn post on this a while back. But yeah, I think there's the storytellers. There's the people who can really drive a narrative. And I've met these type of product marketers, and you can give them something. And I had a product marketer that worked for me, and she was doing a part of our security portfolio. And she just came up with this great line of, you can't secure what you can't see. And it hit it in a couple of words. It was like, yeah, if you can't see what you're doing, because our product did a lot of visibility, then you can't secure it. And if you could sit there and talk a lot of speeds and feeds, but somebody who can come up with like a one-liner like that. So I call them the storytellers. Then you have another superpower, which is really about the data people, the people that you see a lot of this in B2C PMMs, the one who can dig through the data, cull in and find things and extract it. I call those like the data scientists. Those are people that extract all the data and they find the insights through it. And then I had this third superpower of people who actually can really dig in. They're the product evangelists. Those are former like solution consultants or product managers that come back into product marketing. They work a lot of times in like technical, like somebody who would be in AI right now or deep security, or I came from cloud. So it was like a kind of a cloud computing. So those people can go in the nitty gritty of it all and really go out there and hold their own. And then the fourth one I see when I see product marketing, those are like the marketing people. Somebody came over from demand gen and is spending a stint in product marketing, and they always veer toward the campaign side of things. So those are like when I group in the product marketing superpowers is like the personas, almost like the 4 personas of product marketing. And of that, I'm a storyteller. It's really easy for me to go on stage, be someone that goes in there and talks about it. And then I have a unique part about leadership. I've been leading teams for many years now, and most people like to work on my team, and I'm really able to build strong teams. across functions, customer success, marketing. It's just a skill set that I've been able to transfer with. So I'd say those are my big superpowers, but I tend to group product marketers into those type of personas. And usually somebody who's good at storytelling or product evangelism can work through that messaging and positioning in a good way.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. What makes a good story then in your case, since it's your superpower?
A good story is one that inspires an organization, but also that really makes it clear what your vision is and this is where I think it's really important for product marketers to understand the vision the, of the product, the strategy, and then the roadmap. Because a lot of times with product marketing, we get so lost in the speeds and feeds of the roadmap and the latest release that we don't actually understand what's product looking to build. And then what's that connection between what products looking to build, who they're looking to become, and what we have right now. Because product marketers who are able to bridge that gap between who we are today and who we aspire to be work really well with founders, because founders, particularly if you're in a smaller company, they always want to sell the vision because the vision gets them investment, the vision gets them early adopters. So somebody needs to really understand that vision. And then as you mature and you become a more scalable company, oftentimes you have the struggle between the vision of where you want to be in 5 years and the fact that people know you for something today and that's your core market. So somebody who's good at storytelling at an early stage company is really good at bringing the founder's vision to life. Someone at a more mature company is really able to manage that tension between who you are today and who you aspire to be so that your website doesn't just seem incoherent based on where you are, where it doesn't just speak to the vision, but your core customer can't find themselves, and doesn't just speak to the core customer, but the investors that you want to go to the next stage can't find where you're going either.
And I really like that point you said there, Becky, because we had Anthony on for season 1, and he talked a bit about that, of the stage of storytelling, depending if you're a founder selling to a board, from like your early stage talking about the product. With that context in mind, one struggle for like some product marketers is that when it comes to storytelling, there's two schools of thoughts. And it's, hey, the story needs to be centered around the product because, hey, I'm working closer to the product, so I want to talk about the product. Or should it be centered around the customer? Like, I'm closer to the customer, we should build the story around the customer. From your perspective around storytelling, how should product marketers best be thinking about the product, the customer, and what altitude do you talk about that? I'm curious to hear more about that.
I try to start with the customer. If there's like very differing needs of, hey, they can't really understand it, but it's really trying to talk to what is somebody facing right now? Somebody's obviously searching for something, and how can I fulfill their need? Because at the end of the day, people are people. They buy from people. They are searching to solve a pain point for them. And when we divert too much away from what that is to visions that are hard to understand, then it's difficult for people to reconcile and find themselves. Because storytelling, really, like the powerful one, when you think about it, really resonates when it touches you at the human level. Like if you think about it, I was listening to this gentleman who just retired, Jason Kelsey, and he really resonated with me at the human level because he talked about his family. And I talked about how I had a really great relationship with my parents. Both of my parents have passed away. And it really, it made me want to listen to his story twice because he talked about how he had such a great dad and what his mom had done. And it just really resonated with me because I was very thankful for what my parents had done for me and how much I loved and missed them. And it was like I was connecting myself to this random football player's story, but because it touched something that was familiar to me. And I think that's what great storytelling does is it enables us to talk about a product and talk about use cases. Because I'm a big fan of use cases because use cases tend to be closer to what a customer does. But also if you find that human element to it, then that's where you bring the customer. And it's not random, Becky has a problem, she's going in. It's really going in there and trying to sit with something that really knowing that part. And that's the part that's challenging in B2B product marketing that we used to do really well. If you think like the Mad Men scenarios of marketing is back in the day, there was always so much more money for research. And we don't do that in B2B product marketing as well, as really intertwine and really get in the heads of the customer, really understand what motivates them. But beautiful storytelling enables you to do that. It's really to tap into the human emotion of it and intermix some product capabilities in there.
I forgot you were a product leader after that explanation.
I know.
just got a
Well, I try
storytelling
to do that to
class.
the product teams as well because I was having this conversation with our CEO and I go, I have a unique approach to product. I'm a very commercial product manager. Like I really believe that we need to make money with what we do. Like we're just not here to run experiments. And that really goes into understanding, well, who is this product for? What's our vision? What unique problems are we going to tap into this? Why do we believe somebody's going to give us money for this? Otherwise, we're just building a build.
She's got all this product knowledge, and she's one of our sharpest PMM guests we've had so far. This is awesome. Actually, I got a quick question, unless any of the other We're Not Marketers have any objections. We have a little game we like to play. It's called Torture Chamber, but we modify it for each guest. So it started off with Anthony Pieri as a messaging device, and we've adapted it now. So for you, I've actually tried to form it around the product side of things. And so it's a short game of either or, where we put you in a little phone booth and we give you an either option, which is really terrible, or an or option, which is equally as terrible. And we want to know if you had to pick one to bring through your team, which would it be? How's that sound?
Let's go.
All right. So, first one, kind of easy, but still hard. Product led or sales led go to market strategy?
Oh shit, the salespeople are probably gonna help me. Product led.
That's a good kicker. All right.
It could be hybrid, but since you gave me either or.
Yeah, there's no plead the fifth here. So would you rather delay your product launch to perfect all those little tiny details, or just launch it knowing there's a few minor bugs and capture that market momentum?
Launch it.
Yeah, launch it. Okay.
Love it.
Choose between following user feedback.
I did this a couple months ago. It was good. It was the right call.
You did? All right, we might dig
Really?
that a little bit deeper.
Ago, and then 2 years ago, I forced our team to do this. Even when I was in PMM, I actually forced product to do it. It was the right call.
All right, then we know what to do. Launch it and fix out the kinks later. So
Don't wait.
Strictly follow user feedback that contradicts your original vision, or follow your roadmap, even if early feedback suggests you should make some changes.
If you know it work.
Ooh, spicy take, maybe. All right. So in terms of the investing side, more heavily in user acquisition, knowing that the product still needs refined, or funnel resources into product dev, risking a little bit slower on the user growth?
I would go to user acquisition.
Okay. Prioritize a highly requested feature that completely deviates from the main value prop, or double down on the core functionalities that only a subset of users continue to be passionate about?
Oh, popular. Go with something that was popular.
Okay. Focus on pleasing early adopters with a niche advanced feature, which obviously could risk alienation, or go for that broad appeal and potentially lose the core supporters you already have?
I'll go. If you're early in a product, you focus on your niche.
All right.
Get a group of people that really like you. You don't even know if you're early enough. You don't even know if you're going to make the mainstream. Might as well continue focusing on that niche and then grow from there.
All right, cool. And then this is probably my favorite one that came up in my little noggin here. You have to cut costs. So you're going to do it by cutting your product team size or decrease the marketing budget.
Marketing. If your product sucks, there's only so much lipstick you can put on a pig.
Awesome.
That is a great clip right there. Oh,
Awesome quote.
all right. So
any CMO that any good CMO knows this. If the product sucks, you did a good job making pipeline, and you can do as best stories you can, but you're not converting.
Exactly.
That's great. All right, Becky, we've unlocked the torture chamber. Great job being a good sport there. I know they're not probably mostly ideal scenarios for you, and we can get back to the regularly scheduled convo.
I have a quick question. So you've been in product marketing, you're in product. On our end, we don't believe that product marketing should live within marketing, but do you think it should live within product?
Depends on the organization. So one of the reasons I feel comfortable having product marketing is I have an appreciation for product marketing. So if you gave product marketing and there was a product leader who had no appreciation for the function, then that would be a terrible scenario. So I'm a big believer of there's no one size fits all. Depending on an organization needs, then you know. But I see it, well, like product marketing is like the pendulum. It's like BDR. Sometimes they sit under marketing, sometimes they sit under sales. It's like, I find there's always a pendulum in organizations where sometimes product marketing gets sit in marketing for so long where the product team feels like the product marketing team has become, is no longer hearing them. And there's just a big disconnect. And so oftentimes a new leader will come in and move product marketing back into product. And then that product marketing can spend so much time in product that it becomes disconnected from marketing. The ideal scenario when product marketing sits in marketing is that the marketing leader still feels like that product marketing leader is part of their team and is almost dotted line into them, attends their staff, really thinks about them as somebody who's still part of their function. And I think that's critical. If you have that type of partnership, it really doesn't matter where they sit. But if you don't have that, then it can be really detrimental to the function. And there's a lot of other functions that have that, like, for instance, product management and engineering. You could always argue that product management could sit under engineering. I could think that's perfectly plausible if it did. But if it doesn't, it's still that relationship. It's the biggest relationship with product management is actually engineering. And so how does it sit there and have that good relationship with engineering when it doesn't sit in there? And that's about having a mutual level of respect for the function.
Do you have any tips or advice? Because actually, it's the root of this podcast for most of it is elevating that product marketing role so it does have respect from not just the product side, but all of the peers in the organization. Would love to hear some of the things you found that are successful and some of the things you push some people on the product marketing side on your team to do.
A good one is adding value. And this is maybe what makes me a product person. Is always thinking about problems. You always heard me say, like, what are the problems organization has? And so I think if you have a good sense of you're viewed as someone in the organization that solves problems, then you're going to be respected as a product marketer. And some good ways in which, particularly somebody who's early in their career in product marketing, starting off, is a simple one of, why am I winning and losing? And how are you talking to the salespeople about that? Because product management, for instance, gets really busy in Jira, is talking to customers. There's always somebody responding to them. They have to sit there and go to engineering. If they don't have to talk to a lot of salespeople about win-loss and competitive intelligence and doing the rest of it, God, they're so thankful. And so if the product marketer comes in and says, you know what? Every month, I'm going to give you a download of all the deals we've just won. It can tell you why we've won them. And I'm also going to give you a download of all the deals we've lost and give you some insights across that. And then here's a summary of what's going on in the competitive market. And here's where we're winning. And then here's where we're winning steam. Here's where we're losing steam. You're going to be somebody that product manager always wants to spend time with. Oh, and by the way, I got you some insights on pricing. And here's what the launch is heading in, and here's what sales really is into, and here's what they're not. And you become the voice of sales and marketing to that product manager, where the product manager doesn't have to worry about that. And they're like, oh, Zach has that. No, my PMM has that. I don't have to deal with that. I only got to deal with over here. You're going to become a strategic part of that product management organization, hands down.
Are these the same tips that you use for your pivot from product marketing to leading the product organization today?
It was actually one of the big things I took on when I joined Snow that helped me build a really strong brand there. Was I was new. This is how new I was. I had sat there and I ended the job on a Friday. And then on Saturday, I was flying to Stockholm, Sweden I was like week 2 of a 2-week product transformation. I end that. I'm the new person in the room and someone just hands me off. They're like, Becky, here's this whole pricing and packaging exercise, but you can have it. I'm thinking they're giving it to the new person. They're like, yeah, it's going to be due in February. It's for sales kickoff. And I'm like, okay, great. Must be easy. I dig into this. I was like, oh, hell no, is this not easy? This is like a months-long project. These people are insane. Why did they give it to the new person? I don't even know what door is coming in. And so I just sat there and womaned up, got a whole cross-functional group of people together, and I executed on this pricing and packaging thing. It was painful. It was hard. It was being thrown into the ocean in a whole company I didn't even understand. And I made it happen. And I think that was a big critical part to it, because part of that is I took over ownership of pricing and packaging. I became knowledgeable about all we did because I had to sit there and package our whole one. And then I also understood a lot of our customers and our partners because I had to go through and put that in. And then not only that, at the time, we were really focused in on what our product revenue was, or like what if sales hit their number or not. But we had no idea from our product lines, despite having multiple of them, which ones were doing well and which one weren't. And so for about 2 years, I led something every quarter called the commercial review. And the commercial review was product marketing and product management presenting to sales, customer success, and others, our CEO and others. And it was this hour and a half, 2 hour meeting once a quarter where we would talk about where our products were winning, where they were losing, what was going on in strategy, and what was coming on a roadmap. And product marketing led that at our function at Snow. And so I would open it up and then I would go through each of our core products. And it really just established me as somebody who knew what they were doing. And as a strategist within that, I got a lot of respect from our CFO, our CEO. Every time I would lead this, it would be like, great meeting. Thank you for the insights. And it would drive a lot of actionable about where should we be spending more time. And in fact, one of our new products got a lot of investment out of it because it was one of those that I showed, hey, we're seeing triple digit growth in this product, but there's only 3 engineers working on it. That doesn't make any sense. So it was a lot of that helped me lead that in, is really bringing that market intelligence, that commercial intelligence into our product teams rather than it just being speeds and feeds, that eventually laid the foundation for me to be the person to lead product.
Cool. I do have a quick question. Looking at your kind of career track, it seems like you've definitely been in a more maybe technical space, so to speak. Do you feel like there's any delineation there between maybe putting your product marketing team within product when you do have a more technical audience as opposed to a MarTech audience, for example?
I think if you were selling the marketing, I could see where it makes a lot of sense to keep it within marketing, because at the end of the day, you're a target customer, so you're close to it, what's going on within that. So for instance, if I were in MarTech, I would see where that's a good. Overall, I just think the best place to put it is where there's more support, where there's more need. When product marketing moved to product at Snow, it was because product needed more of that commercial support about, hey, making sure that we understood ARR by product, that we understood adoption by a lot of our products, make sure we could build our business cases in the right way. And it just happened to be that I had built the product marketing team who could do that and could support that. I'm also at this stage, because I'm more on the products, I try to build that up within product management. But I think it really just depends on it. But oftentimes, if you're in a more technical space, sometimes you will find product marketing sitting within product, because the product manager doesn't often feel that marketing is really telling the story in the way that they want the story to be told. You start seeing in a lot of really technical organizations where the product leader has a really strong opinion about that, about just how success is for their product. And so are you telling the right narrative, versus sometimes in a very non-technical company, it's sometimes a sales leader that really has an opinion about how this story isn't working for me within that. So that's where I think you can put it. It really just depends on the strength of the product leader.
How should one trending topic the past year, and we make a lot of fun about, is AI? How should a product marketer talk about AI in context of their messaging? Should it be the forefront of your website, the first top line say AI powered, or is there another way of how like practitioners should be considering talking about AI in the context of their product?
I was around during this transition of cloud computing, and it used to be at a point where when you started off, you had Salesforce that really used cloud as a positioning, like we're not software, we're SaaS. And so at that point, you see some really strong players where using the technology is quite helpful. So I think AI is at a point where if you have something to talk about AI versus your competitors don't, you can actually find some differentiation within that. So you have to find a way. But I also think that we're at a stage where I don't think you should just pepper it in there just for glitter. But all of your customers, because AI is so hot right now, everyone wants to know your point of view on AI. And if you don't have a point of view on AI and you're not sharing that point of view, you actually risk coming across as somebody that's not doing anything. And if you are, then that's a shame, because somebody, particularly a new logo, somebody's going to buy your product for the first time. They're making that investment into your solution for at least 3 to 5 years, hopefully longer. And they want to know that you're going to be able to grow with them, and you have a sense of technology and how you're going to bring those new technology features to be able to make their life better. And if they can't glean that then they may choose somebody who's telling them otherwise. So you have to have a perspective on what's your vision for AI. Whether you glitter your website with it or not, I think just depends on your capabilities. But somewhere in that narrative, you do have to provide your perspective on AI. And that might be a slide in the sales deck. That just might be equipping your salespeople, but somebody's going to ask. And you have to be ready to tell that story.
I love the way you put it, where it's very similar to we're not software, we're software as a service, we're SaaS basically. And we had a discussion internally about that recently, where it's like AI, those two letters are like a stamp of approval, but it's tasteless when you don't have a point of view. And it's similar, like if you go back, I don't know, 2008 and whatever, and it's like, oh, we're a B2B SaaS. What is it? What's your category? What's your point of view and all of that? This is what is giving you the flavor to ultimately show people why you should solve a problem and why you would be the best pick for them. So I really love the way you're putting that, where it's not just about AI, it's what's your point of view what AI is, and then what does it actually do. It's not about unlocking the power of AI, it's about still going back to, we need to fix something, we need to solve something, and we're looking to solutions to do it.
Yeah, because even I came from cloud and still being able to say cloud native, there are a lot of software companies that aren't cloud native. And so cloud native, while it sounds like marketing jargon, still actually is a relevant thing to say, I'm a cloud native or I'm a cloud first. I see that a lot with security products, where security products were traditionally built for an on-premises world. And you have upcoming security providers like Wiz, Daz, et cetera. They're saying, I'm for the cloud, I'm for next generation cloud native world. And so they're using that as part of their position to say these other providers, they're old school, like we're new school, we're for a cloud first world. And so that helps tell their story and their narrative.
Earlier in this conversation, you said the line, you can't protect what you can't see. With that reference in mind, like, you're a storyteller, Becky. How should a product marketer develop a point of view with AI messaging other than saying AI is here and we are the leaders of AI?
I think a good part is trying to figure out what your particular customers could use AI for. So, for instance, I'll talk about my own company, my own industry, which is IT asset management and FinOps. Within IT asset management, there's a big pain point there on oftentimes customers are manually uploading contracts into our product sets, or they import the contracts and no one the imports don't always work or pick up the right elements of it. And so entitlements are something that can be solved in a great way by machine learning. And so we've been doing out some machine learning to really sit here and try to ingest these contracts and figure out what's most important for them that works into our product. So that is one of those where if I say we're leaders in AI, we can sit here and talk about what our approach is to solving this industry problem using machine learning and artificial intelligence. And so because we know that this is an industry problem for our audience, then that enables it to be something that doesn't come across as marketing jargon, but rather saying, hey, this is how we're talking about AI really impacting our industry because I understand my customer and I understand the pain points that my customer is facing within that. And so I think if you can use that and understand, like, how could AI help my customer to either save money, be more productive, or get insights that they haven't gotten before, and I'm sure there's a myriad of other benefits, but those three come to mind, then I think you don't come across as just wishy-washy with AI. You can actually find AI for a reason.
I've got a self-serving question, and maybe we can wrap up with this so we don't take too much time. But so I'm working contract work right now for a company that's using AI, Clue. I won't be shy here. Anyone can look at my LinkedIn. And obviously that's a big conversation. And my direct question would be, how do you balance out the now, right? What do you have to offer people now and the learnings you have now versus where you're trying to go?
I think a big part there is really being, honest on what's working for Clue right now to get customers and making sure that shines. But every customer that buys B2B software tends to ask you, what's your roadmap? And then oftentimes that vision of where you're heading can be something that's included as part of the roadmap section. So if it's something where you're like, we're so far off of this and we don't want to just put garbage on our website, the roadmap review is also a great way. And even if the customer's not requesting it, being able to like, hey, let's talk to you about our roadmap, where we're heading. That's a great way of actually being able to sell somebody on the product vision of where you're going without being too false in what your narrative is, and also not confusing that core customer that's coming to your website.
That is crystal clear for me. Thank you for that. That is one nugget I'm stealing for me, whether our audience cares or not. Thank you, Becky.
I used to have an
So-
old leader that used to say that, hey, the responsibility of product is to sell the roadmap. My husband, who's in product management, has never agreed to this. He's always says, no, the people need to buy what's on the truck. I've always been like, you got to sell the roadmap.
Would like that roadmap review aspect be a way for PMMs that would like to ultimately influence it be their first project? Like would that be something that you think product would take, like, hey, let's review the roadmap based on those insights that I was able to get from sales and marketing?
I think if the PMMs can come with data and intelligence and people that they've spoken to, they can influence the roadmap. Unless you're dealing with a real douche product manager. If you're sitting there really getting in sales insights, you have marketing insights, you're using something like Clue to get competitive information, you're having win-loss conversations, you've sat there and called in through Salesforce, you're regularly talking to salespeople that are winning deals, you're going through and looking at pipeline and seeing where pipeline isn't working, and you're seeing what campaigns are going in, you're seeing what products are. And if you're sharing that with a product person, then you should be able to say, you're saying, hey, this is what's hurting us. And if they should be taking your feedback. And if they don't, then there's something interesting going on in that dynamic.
You're a douche, like you said.
But sometimes you work with people that are douches and you just got to move on to a different product.
You just got to. And I just want to fall back to something. You said your husband's in product management?
He is. My husband's a product manager.
And he was disagreeing with you on a topic?
Oh, he disagrees with a lot of stuff. That
wow.
But like at first, like I consider him like I think he's amazing at what he does. Like now it's like the Padawan who used to go with him to a lot of advice, like has her own opinions about things now. So there's often product management debates in our house. Sometimes I have to be like, shut it down, because I'm like, I actually like you outside of product, because he'll sit there, but I don't see why you're having this big debate at work. And I'm just like, I don't really need this. I've made a call. Like, I don't need this.
You can always remind him. You can always remind him of the one thing that I've learned now that I'm engaged is happy wife is a happy life. And if you're both in product
he's got to debate with me anyways. There's no
Yeah.
I like him despite it. Like sometimes I'll be struggling with something. There'll be like this product book or this article that pops up in my text message and it's, mentor thinks I could be doing this better. I know, like my coworkers are like, how do you deal with all that feedback? I'm like, I was like, dust it off.
That's got to be a dynamic household. And you have kids? Do you guys have kids?
It doesn't bother me.
Do you guys have kids too?
We do. Fortunately, they don't have product opinions.
I was gonna say they probably aren't yet. They're probably, what are you even talking about? But that's awesome. That's awesome.
They have no opinions on roadmap and whether or not you should sell the roadmap or go with the roadmap. I don't definitely agree with him on selling like what's on the truck. I think that's every product manager's dream. That's not going to happen.
I'm like, I think that's a future conversation. I think we need to have to bring you both on to have that, because that's a separate topic.
Oh yeah, he's very much the marketing team and the sales team needs to sell what's there right now. Why would you even show a customer a roadmap? What's wrong with you guys?
Funny enough, I agree with him. I agree. Coming as a former rep, I do.
Like
agree
you're just
with
going to
him,
set the customer up for disappointment.
This was my favorite conversation I think we've had. Becky, I don't know if the guys, I don't want to end this prematurely, but Becky, this has honestly been a treat, a great way to end a Friday. And it was nice from Gab and I to actually get a chance to meet you. And I've picked up a lot personally here, so I know our listeners will too. Do you have anywhere that you'd like to direct some of our listeners to learn more about you and keep in touch, or any passion projects that you might want to let anyone know about?
I think just follow on LinkedIn. I'm very random, and some people do really strong niches about things. I think we're going to go back to really talking about product marketing, product management, leadership. I think if you're like, what do you do best about it? It really is leadership, and it's leading teams and making decisions around that. So I'm going to streamline a little bit more. I sometimes just post whatever I want to post because I don't get paid for that. So it's just like whatever else comes to mind. But I'm going to probably streamline a little bit more toward leadership. So if someone wants to think about, hey, how I become a leader, what do I go in? How do I run through teams? How do I learn more about randomly what Becky thinks about product marketing and product management? They can follow me on LinkedIn. It's probably where I spend most time. Maybe my husband and I should come up with debating product podcast. I think it is. Yeah, we see product differently.
I see a future in that right there. I'm gonna have to.
You
agree
totally
with your
disagree with
husband on this
everything
one.
I say. Like,
That would be a great podcast. I'm just gonna say
It'd be
right now,
incredible.
husband and wife,
It'd be
product versus product. That's oof.
move
like,
over, Mark and Kelly. Move over,
so,
Mark and Kelly. Like this is the conversation we want to hear.
Awesome.
That's incredible. But I'm gonna say this: I do agree with your husband about selling what's on the truck, though. But I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh, it's on the track.
I'm in Becky's camp. I'm in Becky's camp. You can tease what's getting loaded on the truck.
What are you doing? You shouldn't be selling something 3 years out the door. You give a 6-month rolling roadmap. You get a peek of where you're heading.
You need beta testers, right?
They're making 3 to 5 year thing. They got to know this is B2B software. You're not buying a keyboard.
Yeah, you need those beta testers.
Yeah, you need people. They're making a commitment. People are putting their badge on the table for something that's going to say, "Hey, this is going to grow with me." You need to know that you're going to grow with them.
You nailed it.
I'll keep that in mind. All
right, then,
Becky, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you to everyone who's listening in, and that wraps us up for another episode of We're Not Marketers.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you all for having me.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to We're Not Marketers. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, review our podcast, and share this episode with other PMMs. Thanks again, and see you soon.